Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fabulous ribbon cutting. My name is Martha Hutzel. I am representing the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce, on whose board I sit. I'm also your Central Rappahannock Regional Library Director. That's my actual job. Thank you all for being here. We are going to cut this ribbon today for the Fredericksburg Advanced Digital News Media, recently started in the Fredericksburg region. It is now my honor to introduce Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. Please welcome Congresswoman Spanberger.
I am here with the community to celebrate this ribbon cutting because the Fredericksburg Advance is an extraordinary resource for the community. It is a vital way of communicating information, reporting on community events, and a way to engage community members in thought, in critical consideration of our own viewpoints. And the resource that the Advance is one that I think is extraordinary, and into the years to come, hopefully more and more Virginians will understand the extraordinary value that it brings, certainly to the larger Fredericksburg community, but to people across the Commonwealth. So I'm a proud reader, a grateful reader, and it is now my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Fredericksburg, Mary Catherine Greenlaw.
What an honor to be introduced by our Congresswoman Spanberger. I had to say it. We appreciate you so much because you really do take care of your constituency. But most of all, I appreciate all of you here and what we are doing today. Multiple sources of journalism and multiple sources of information are vitally important to a community. Back in the day, Fredericksburg had many newspapers. In fact, John Hennessy gives a delightful lecture entitled Brawlers and Brainiacs. And unfortunately, the lecture is about editors and newspapers in Fredericksburg. And unfortunately, my great-grandfather fell in the brawler category. In fact, an encounter he had with the editor of a rival newspaper was written up in the New York Times Herald. I have to share some of it. A street fight. This one with Mr. W. Seymour White, editor of the semi-weekly Recorder. My great-grandfather's paper was the Virginian Star. You may recognize that name, Star. And he also had a daily newspaper, the Evening Star. But so fierce, I'm quoting from the New York Herald in December of 1878. So fierce is the rivalry of these journals that the resources of the English language were insufficient to satisfy the passions of either foeman. So, meeting on the street, Mr. White began to belabor Mr. Merchant, that's my great-grandfather, Mr. Merchant, with that classical implement, the cowhide. Then came the mutual clinch, then the fall of both, while victory hovered above the prostrate wrigglers and couldn't make up her mind. The consequence of this hesitation was that both parties were walked off to the police court and bonded over to fight no more. So while I do not recommend that level of competition, I applaud the journalism and the fact that we have more than one news source, and most importantly, a local news source. So congratulations to the Advance. Thank all of you for being here. I know you're getting great support from the community, and best wishes to you on behalf of the city of Fredericksburg and my fellow city councilors, one of whom is present today, Matt Kelly. And introduce Martin Davis, the editor-in-chief.
Wow. I'm at a loss for words. It's just something I'm not often at a loss for. I was driving in today thinking I might have 2 or 3 people show up, and I am just overwhelmed by this turnout. 10 months ago was probably one of the worst days of my life when I was let go from a job that I love. And I walked out of the office as a freelance star thinking I would never again write a published work. And as someone who's spent their entire life writing, I can't begin to tell you how hurtful that is. And then something amazing happened. Over the next 4 days, my phone blew up like it has never blown up before. People calling, where can we reach you? Where can we find you? I didn't know the answer to that question. And then I ran into my friend Sean Kenny, and Sean said, "You ever heard of Substack?" Never had. Sean gave me a little primer, and I was off and running and writing and working and teaching. Before we knew it, we had something. Not from anything that we have done, but from the support that we've gotten from everyone in this community. People calling me, "Will you cover this? Will you cover that? Have you heard this? Have you heard that?" And we figured out pretty quickly that people are coming to us because they trust us to tell their stories. And for me, there is no greater honor than to be entrusted to tell people's stories. It's one of the joys of this job. We started this paper for this community. I have said from the beginning, this is not about me. It never has been about me. Local news is absolutely vital to our democracy. Absolutely vital. As a historian by training, as one who's taught at the university level for a decade teaching history, as one who now has the distinct honor of teaching at James Monroe High School, teaching history to K-12 students, high school students, I can tell you that all news, all knowledge, it begins right here. Wherever you go, whatever seeds of democracy and decency and civility that you have are planted right here. And we are committed to planting those seeds to anyone and everyone who has a well thought out worldview. And I am extremely proud to say that we are one of the few news organizations that I know of in this country who was adamantly and profoundly multi-partisan. We will not back away from that. This is your paper, this is your medium, and we get up every day, and that's why we do it. I want to recognize just a few people. If our board members could stand up, Mr. Craig Vasey. Mr. Corey McLaughlin. You won't find 2 finer minds and writers in this area than these 2 gentlemen. Also, behind me here is Sean Kenny and Leanne Van Dorn. And I am forgetting somebody. I knew it was going to happen. Who am I forgetting? Rick Puller, who was in California. He's not here. These people give time. They give money. They take phone calls at all hours of the day and night from me in a panic about something or another. They talk through difficult topics with me. At times, you may not believe this, but at times those conversations get heated. And we don't quite come to blows, Mary Catherine. We haven't yet. But it comes close some days. But that's what it is. That's what it's all about. I also want to recognize our amazing cartoonist back here. Clay Jones suffered the fate that a lot of local journalists suffered and has gone on to become, I argue, one of the finest cartoonists in America, period. Sean who said, reach out to Clay, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He is so out of my league. It ain't gonna happen. And Clay didn't hesitate. He was all about it. And we're just thrilled and honored to have him. The other person I really want to give a lot of attention to, and I'm going to forget people, and I apologize, but I would be absolutely remiss if I did not give a special thanks to my colleague, Adele Lupas. I've spent 25 years of my life in journalism. I've reported from 3 continents. I've reported all across the United States of America. I have interviewed everyone from the very top all the way down. I have never worked with a finer journalist than Adele. I know I'm forgetting people, I'm sorry. My wife, Dama, who, I don't know how she I don't know, she's probably willing to throw me out of the house about now. So. She's been with me through thick and thin. There's been a lot of thin. Not a whole lot of thick, but there's been a lot of thin, but she's been there every step of the way for 38 years now. She is there when we're wrestling with stories, when we have difficult decisions to make. She is there supporting me when I can't pick myself up some days. And she is an extraordinary mother to our 3 wonderful children, Andrew, Katie, and Austin, who, I'm proud of all 3 of my kids. But Austin holds a special place in my heart. And when the world is going to hell, he's one of the ones on the front line making sure that we can be here doing things like this. So thank him and thank all of you who have served in our military. We can't say it enough. Thank you. I want to turn the mic over for just a couple minutes to my 2 partners. This does not happen without Leanne Van Dorn and Sean Kenny. And I'm going to ask them to come stage if they do that. I cannot say this without.
Sorry, Mark.
This does not happen without Sean and Leanne. It just doesn't. They are the fuel that drives this bus. And so, Sean, please.
Sure. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you very much for being such great sponsors and readers and contributors to this thing that we call the Fredericksburg Advance. It's a huge project. If you had told me a year ago that Marty and I would be doing something like this, I probably would have laughed. But I would have also said, yeah, that's kind of cool. So for me, I mean, I'm a Fredericksburg native. I grew up here. This is home. I grew up with Paul Akers, men like John Gulrich, for those of you who've really been in the area long enough. Those have always been sort of my lodestars when it comes to how to present news and information in a brighter world. And then to finally get the opportunity to be a part of something like this and to kind of learn from Marty and go back and forth. For those of you who actually listen to the New Dominion podcast, we'd sit there and have phone conversations, sit there and go, gosh, I wish we had recorded that, right? Well, now we do. And, and it's exactly how we talk over the phone. Does it get heated? Of course it gets heated. But you know what? We get over it and we have a beer, and it's great. But it's the sort of thing that we've kind of lost in America, and we've lost in Virginia. And it's no fault of our own. But it's one thing that was like you have another half of the community where nobody ever sees or feels or engages, and to have those 2 opinions collide with each other in spectacular ways. That's how you get solutions. Bill Clinton used to have this wonderful line that there's no problem created by human beings that cannot also be fixed by human beings. And the best way to do that is through an open public square where every opinion can be raised and respected on its own terms. There are 2 people in particular that I have to thank for sort of helping to provide and foster and nurture what this is. That's Corey and Megan. Corey and Megan do a lot of the recording for us. I think I speak for everybody, at least at the board level, and perhaps for those of us in the room who've actually listened, none of this happens without the 2 of you and your kindness and your generosity and your spirit. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done for this. In the meantime, thank you for being readers and subscribers. Be sure to share with all of your friends. And I'm going to introduce you to the Real Brain Trust. of this organization. All of you know her. At least if you don't know her, you should know her. Because again, this is the long pole of the Big Ten. None of this happens without Leanne. She has been an absolutely marvelous human being throughout all of this, and it's a real, when Marty and I get tense, it's always Leanne that sorts out the boys. So Leanne, Leanne, your turn. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us. And
thank you. This is a day that is a culmination of many years for me. I've had on my vision board a nonprofit newsroom, and I just sort of patiently kept putting little pieces in place as they came to me. And in 2021, when I started a nonprofit for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, I just put in there, and to house a nonprofit newsroom, should that ever happen. And so I was ready when Martin and Sean became available as the most amazing content creators that I have ever encountered. They were just electrifying in their coverage of education issues in the area. And as the publisher of a parenting publication, I had long wanted some really deep information and reporting for our area parents. You can't be the best parent you can be if you don't have good information. And I needed somebody to help me get that to my readers. And so I'm so grateful to be here today. I am so grateful to my husband, Tom Van Doren, who puts up with all of my crazy ideas and hasn't thrown me out either, although it's come close. And I'm so thankful for everyone who came today to help us with our project. And I think it's time to cut our ribbon.
Adele? Leanne?
all right.
All right, I'll go bottom, you go top. Leanne, you grab top, and Sean, will keep bottom.
All right.
We will go.
Woo!